Business meeting of the Waynesboro City Council for Monday, July 25th, 2022. Mr. Allen, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. For those in attendance this evening, if you wish to speak during our citizen comment period, please sign up in the back of the room to do so with the appropriate sign-in sheet, and we will look forward to hearing from you. Item 3 is the adoption of the meeting agenda. So I guess before I move forward, I'll just to note that our Vice Mayor this evening is joining us remotely through the power of Zoom, and grateful for her attendance joining us this evening. So when you hear a voice that you can't see, that's the voice. So we appreciate her being here this evening. Item 3 is the adoption of the meeting agenda. There's a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Allen. Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Item 4 is matters for the mayor. I don't have anything this evening. Our mayor sends his apologies for not being able to join us this evening. He had a work obligation that materialized earlier this afternoon. So we wish him well on his travels. Item 5 is our matters from council members. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share?
You know I do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Our COVID update, my face is covered still. So as you can see, if you get on the CDC map page, most of Virginia is now in the red. And so it is, rather than receding like it looked like it was doing for a few weeks, it has gotten more spread again. Now the good news, and you've probably seen this or heard it, is that it does seem to be clinically mild. Our hospitalization rates have not been climbing, and here in Waynesboro, knock on wood, we have not had a death in many, many weeks. So hopefully that will continue, but the case rate is again climbing. On a positive note, for the first time since I've started checking it, in Waynesboro, the percent of our adult population that has had at least one vaccine has crossed over 75%. So people are continuing to get vaccinated. The younger citizens, the children, both school age and now younger, since they can get it, those numbers are lagging. So I encourage parents, as we're getting ready to get back to school, talk to your doctor, talk to your pediatrician, and see if they recommend the vaccine for your child. Because again, putting all those kids back in school, again, we will likely see some spread. So protect them as we get ready for that. And boosters. You know, I've talked to lots of my patients about boosters, and I encourage people there, and I encourage citizens to get boosters, because we know that immunity does wane. And the boosters are important and will help protect you both against getting the illness altogether, but also against severe illness. So again, talk to your provider, talk to folks at the pharmacy. If you go there, they'll be able to hook you up with a booster if you're due. All right. Thank you, Mr. Substitute Mayor.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Yeah, I would just add, I know our public schools do a great job with sharing information about upcoming events, but I did want to make a point that I understand yesterday they had their first of 2 back-to-school bashes over at Kate Collins Middle School, and so would point you to the direction of the Waynesboro Public Schools website to sign up and register for that event next Sunday. They have lots of great community resources and information to share as we look forward to getting our kids back in school and getting them to learn. So appreciate all that they do. Item number 6 is consideration of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I will make that motion.
Great, thank you, Dr. Hofstadter. Is there a second? Great, thank you, Mr. Allen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Item 7 is to consider adopting a resolution approving the fiscal year 2022 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan. Ms. Tate.
Hi, I first wanted to take just a minute to introduce myself to some of you. I haven't met all of you yet. My name is Leslie Tate, and I'm the new Director of Community Development for the City of Waynesboro. I just most recently came from Augusta County as their senior planner for the last 6 years, and I look forward to serving the citizens of Waynesboro, so thank you. Tonight, staff is asking for your consideration of the Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Funds Fiscal Year 2022 Annual Action Plan. The city's held 2 public hearings on this draft plan. One was in June to gather needs and input, and one most recently on July 11th to receive input on the draft plan. The plan has been posted on the website for a 30-day comment period. So the annual action plans implement really the goals and objectives of our 5-year consolidated plan, which is a 2019 to 2023 plan. And so in 2019, several public hearings and focus groups were held to provide input on that 5-year plan. And as you can see, that 5-year consolidated plan will be up for renewal in October of 2024. But 3 of the main goals in that plan for the CDBG funds are neighborhood revitalization, affordable housing development, and business district revitalization. So the annual action plan provides a concise summary of the actions, activities, and resources that will be used each year to address the priority needs and the specific goals that are identified in the consolidated plan. The 2022 draft plan really serves those first 2 goals, neighborhood revitalization and affordable housing development. So as was noted at your previous meeting on July 11th, the allocation for fiscal year 2022 is $187,537, and the proposed use of funds is broken down into 3 main categories. The 4th Street pedestrian crossing, the funding amount is $106,899. For the Port Republic neighborhood, there has been a designation of $15,000 for this specific programmatic year. And then for the Warm Homeless Shelter, an amount of $28,131. And that's the maximum we're permitted to give under that public services cap, which is 15% of the total. And then lastly, there's $37,507 that are spent on grant administration, which again is governed by the grant parameters, that it can only be 20% of the award spent on administrative related costs. So one thing I wanted to point out is it's important to keep in mind that the allocations you see for any given fiscal year aren't necessarily the only allocation a specific project might receive, and certainly not a specific neighborhood or area. I also wanted to point out that in the 2022 annual action plan, it notes that Port Republic Road and the east side areas of Basic City and Shenandoah Heights are 2 geographic sub-areas that have been recommended by citizens and staff for attention to community development needs. And so these areas will continue to be the focus of program outreach and implementation this year and in the future. To close, the typical past projects have included housing rehabilitation, homeownership down payments, business district revitalization, water, sewer, storm facilities, and also parks and rec facilities. So unfortunately, we have not received any specific comment on the annual action plan, although as I mentioned previously, the 5-year consolidated plan in 2019 was an outreach process to kind of identify these goals, of which all of the projects proposed meet those 2 for affordable housing and neighborhood revitalization. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? I would just extend our warm welcome to you officially and formally, and know that you'll do great things. So we're so glad that you're here.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Leslie. All right, there. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
I will make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. And
Aye.
there we go, the aye. And any opposed? All right, the motion carries 4-0. Thank you all very much. Now, she told me, heads up, she did tell me that if there was a long pause, to just accept it as an aye. But I guess just for the record, we're a patient community, so it's good to just wait, so we appreciate it. Item 8 is to consider appointing a candidate to the Waynesboro Cultural Commission for a term ending August 31st, 2024. Mr. Hamp.
Yes, sir. Presented for your consideration this evening is the individual candidate is Ms. Kelly Maggie. And again, this is a 4-year term expiring August 31, 2024.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion to appoint Ms. Kelly Maggie to the Cultural Commission to an unexpired term ending August 31st, 2024? Thank you. Is there a
And
second?
I will second it.
Great. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries, presumed 4-0, so. Item 9 is to consider reappointing Miss Edie Ekman to the Library Board of Trustees to a 4-year term ending August 31st, 2026. Fairly self-explanatory, right? Are there any questions? Is there a motion to reappoint Miss Ekman?
I will make that motion.
Great. Is there a second? Great. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Great. Any opposed? Hearing none, 4-0. Items 10 and 11 are an appointment and reappointment to the Historical Commission. Mr. Ham, do you have details on that one?
Yes, sir. So the reappointment is Mr. Tom Carlson, and this will be a 4-year term that ends on 2026, August 31 of 2026. The new appointment is Ms. Judith Walden, and this is an unexpired 4-year term ending August 31st of 2024.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there a motion for the appointment and reappointment as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second? Great. Thank you, Mr. Allen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion will carry 4-0. All right, item 12 is communication, correspondence, and calendar. Mr. Hamp.
I do not have anything this evening.
Great, thank you. Item 13 is citizen comment period.
Yes, sir. Ms. Evelyn Cotton?
Okay. Ms. Cotton, if you, and those in attendance, if you wouldn't mind, we've got like a little stoplight here. Green means go, yellow means start to wrap up, and red means to please conclude your comments. Just as a reminder, we won't be responding to inquiries tonight, but we'll be glad to get with you after the meeting. So.
Thank you. I appreciate your attention this evening. I actually just am here to offer my compliments to whoever is the genius behind the rearranging the traffic flow on Rosser around the new, Waynesboro Commons or whatever that development is. I love that the left turn lane from Rosser onto Windy Grove has been extended, and that we did away with the center shared turn lane for left turns. Both brilliant moves. And I would still urge City Council to consider putting a crosswalk or two in that general area. And I think it becomes more important as left turns are restricted even more. You can watch people waiting to make a left turn, and at their time to turn, everybody's busy turning right, and so they can't go, and they're just in bad spots there. And I would also make a recommendation that you guys look at lowering the speed limit from, I think all the way from Ladd down to where it currently is now 35, but making all of it 35 instead of having it 45 through that section, because it's really busy, and when those businesses open, it's going to be just a nightmare. So I just wanted to throw my opinion in there. And also, I've been meaning to mention this, but I keep forgetting. During COVID, somebody changed the red light at Holman Parkway onto Delphine, changed the red light to a red arrow so that you can't make a red right on red, because in Virginia, red arrow means stop and wait for green. And that's a perfect place to do that because the light changes fast enough that, and it's so hard to see, that it's dangerous to make right on red there. But recently, the lights at the intersection between Main, Rosser, and Broad several of them have been changed to red arrows as well. And I suspect that we either have a lot of citizens who don't know that a red arrow means stop and wait for green, or else they don't care. And so I would just, suggest that if you guys really did intend to stop, whoever's idea this was, to stop the right turns on red, then it would probably behoove us to go ahead and put a no turn on red sign to accompany each of the red arrows, because you can sit up there and watch any time of day and they're just rolling right through it. Usually they don't even stop. They just roll right through the red arrow. And if we're lucky, I guess they look. And then the last thing is that I saw in the news the other day that we're looking for funding for long range to put a roundabout in that same intersection, Main and Rosser and Broad. And I want to say kudos, because I am a proponent for roundabouts. They significantly cut down on vehicular crashes, because most crashes that occur at intersections, and most of them at intersections involve someone making a left turn where you cross the path of oncoming traffic. So roundabouts cut out all the lefts. Everything's right about roundabouts, and they're wonderful. But I want to make a suggestion. Having seen how they went over in Stanton, there's a lot of people that don't know how to use them. So I would suggest we, bless you, look at a long-term goal of maybe, we've got all these gas stations in town, Sheetz and Royal, I know at least, that have advertisements as you're pumping gas. I think we should get together with some of them and see if they might consider airing public service announcements on how to use a roundabout in exchange for advertising in the traffic circle that says, this is partially sponsored by Sheetz or Royal or whatever, just as a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Conlon.
Sorry I went over a little bit.
Oh, you're fine, thank you.
Jan and Dave Smith.
Good evening.
We just wanted to introduce ourselves. Of course, you just heard our name, Jan and Dave Smith. We are opening a bed and breakfast at 611 South Wayne Avenue, the former home of J.B. Yunt.
Oh.
And we've been talking to the mayor, and we hope to get to see him tonight too. But we just kind of wanted to come since we don't get out much. I work at UVA, Dave works in Winchester, so we've been real busy, to say the least. And I haven't had a chance to reach out to you yet either. But we've got some business cards if anybody's interested, and we're just glad to be here. I think we're going to be really busy. We're partnering with Fishburne. JB was an avid supporter, and their alumni, their board of trustees, maybe even their parents are going to stay with us. And we've got 3 rooms ready now, 1 more to go. The health department is coming soon, and it's all happening really fast.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome to Waynesboro.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
very exciting. Sort of like staying in, the Waynesboro's equivalent of the George Washington's house, I mean. it's
Right, that's,
the founder of the feast.
that's what we're finding
Yeah,
out, and we're
yeah.
really excited about all the history, so I'm still trying to dig around for some of that, so I'll be reaching out to some of y'all. I know that people have contacts out there. I'm sure that JB did all the research already, I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Working with Debbie Todd at Fishburne to try to go through some of his archives to maybe.
What's the name of the?
The Bowman House, and that was from the original owners, Dr. Carl and Eddie Bowman, that built it in 1910. It's been very well maintained, and we will definitely have events and look for invitations, because we're really wanting to get out there and make sure that, the community, the tourism and all that. We've been working with Jennifer Kaiser and Greg Hitchin, and we're just, what else, Dave? I'm sorry, I didn't let you talk.
Jeff Fife from across the street at the YMCA.
Yeah, Dave's an avid hiker of the AT is why we're here. We were looking for that right place, by the trail, by everything. So he can tell you some more stories. But yeah, we have a hiker hostel, but it's not really a hostel. It's more like a haven. It's a little suite upstairs. I
Yeah.
think we're going to name it the Fishburne Suite. We're working on it.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Great.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
your time.
coming. Yeah.
Thank y'all to the citizens, too.
Julia Houchins.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, council members. I'm Julia Houchins. I live at 1425 Harding Avenue. I have come before about the noise problems in my neighborhood, and I basically want to just thank you so much for working so quickly to adopt the new daytime noise ordinance. Feel so blessed and look forward to getting my life back. It has been some days 9 hours of listening to music. We have to leave home most days because we cannot tolerate it, but so long it's almost insanity. So I wanted to thank you, and also I have some questions about going about it in a nice way in order to have this handled, because the neighbor is a little scary, and I definitely need the police to help, and I just wanted to put that out there, that I really need some help with how we need to handle this situation. We have been trying to, I bought a decibel reader, and I also have a recorder of some of the music. It's a little bit difficult because it's the bass, which is low frequency, and it penetrates through the walls. I can hear it in my house louder than I can outside, actually. So that's been a little difficult, but certainly from everything that I have read about the new ordinance, it's exceptionally annoying, and it shouldn't be a problem. So, but I am asking for assistance. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Item 14 is a closed session. And then do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that this meeting be recessed and that the City Council of Waynesboro immediately reconvene in a closed meeting for the following purposes: to consult with legal counsel regarding legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by our attorney as authorized in Section 2.2-3711, A8 of the Virginia Code. The subject matter of the meeting are outside connections to the city water system and landfill issues.
Great. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? All right, this requires a roll call vote. Sportle?
Councilman Allen? Councilman Hofstadter?
Aye.
Councilman Short?
Aye. She's not going, okay. All right. All right, well, how do I treat that? I guess we'll treat it as an abstention then, for the record, if she's not joining.
Yeah, she's no longer attending the meeting, so.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, well, we are in closed session. A motion to return to open session.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the following resolution. Whereas the City Council of Waynesboro has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this City Council that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of Waynesboro hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the City Council of Waynesboro.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Any discussion? This requires a roll call vote.
Councilman Allen? Councilman Hofstadter?
Aye.
Councilman Short?
Aye. All right, we are returned to open session. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you.
Second.
Second. All those, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.